Welcome to the first video in a 7-part series on the Takadimi music rhythm counting system. Now, I've done a bunch of videos in the past all about Takadimi, but they've kind of been all over the place a little bit. So I really wanted to do a video series that starts right at the very beginning and takes you all the way up to where you can really get through pretty much anything that you need to read in your sheet music, and will at least get you to the point where you can kind of figure out the next steps after this if you come across anything that we don't quite cover. When you do hit a certain level, there's always going to be that thing that comes across your music stand that has something you haven't seen before, but knowing all of these other steps, you'll actually be able to put everything together and figure out those different rhythms when they do come across your music stand. As I mentioned, this is the first video in a 7-part series. In this video, I'm just going to take some time to explain the Takadimi system, why it might be something you maybe want to check into and see what it's about, or you might find that this just isn't for you and you end up moving on, which is fine. If you do want to just dig in on the actual rhythm reading using Takadimi, you'll definitely want to skip over to the second video. In this 7-part series, I'm going to do each video on each progression as you would go. The second video is going to go over whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, and their equivalent rests. In the third video, we're going to do eighth notes and their rests, 16th notes and their rests, and some different combinations of eighth notes with 16th notes that you will commonly see in your music. The fourth video, we're going to talk about dotted rhythms and tied notes. In the fifth video, we're going to discuss 32nd notes, 64th notes, and all sorts of different combinations of tuplets. In the sixth video, we're going to discuss different meters. We're going to talk about 6/8, 9/8, 3/8, 6/4, and some of those other meters that you might see in your music and how Takadimi can apply to that. Then in the final video, I'm going to actually pull up some real sheet music and we'll kind of go through discussing how you can apply this to your actual playing when you have a piece of music sitting right in front of you. So my real hope is from this video all the way up to that 7th video that this will really give you a solid foundation in how Takadimi can work for you and how to use it. Now, all the other Takadimi videos I've done previously, I'm going to put into its own playlist, and they can be just kind of follow-up videos. There was really no strategy from start to end. I tried to go from the basics and advance up, but I kind of missed little things here and there. I'd post a video and somebody say, hey, what about triplets? Or hey, what about dotted eighth note rhythms and things like that? So I really wanted a series that you could sit down and watch from start to end that really covered that whole gambit of things that you'll come across in your actual music. So the big question is, why Takadimi and what is it? I'm now teaching in a school to all students in grades 5 through 12. And when I first started working here, I was told rhythm reading's always been a struggle from the beginning. And I, just like most other band directors, use the counting system: 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4 and 1 and 2E and a 3 and, and so on, and all those kinds of things. And with the elementary kids, the number system is it is very challenging. And I've found for a lot of kids also, even in that junior, senior high level, who may not be serious musicians, they do it because they enjoy it. And just the counting system was always a struggle. In the early years, I would, go back to those sayings. When you had a quarter note, you'd say ta, and 2 eighth notes, you'd say hot dog. 16th notes, we'd say Mississippi. You do a 8th note followed by 2 16th notes, you could say hamburger. 2 16th notes followed by a 8th note, you could say olive tree. All those little tricks. The problem with those kinds of tricks is when you start getting into more advanced rhythms, it just completely falls apart. And it's really hard to have a sense of the beat and where the beat is with those systems, just using sayings. It served its purpose, but it quickly became to a point where you couldn't really use it at all. So I really did a lot of investigating, a lot of research, and I came across a system called Takadimi. And it's all based around actually saying the word Takadimi. That's a 16th note. 4 16th notes is Takadimi. And it really gives you a good sense of the beat because the beat's always the ta. So you always know ta, 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 ta. When I'm conducting, the beat's always ta. And what I've found is it took me probably a good 6-7 months, 3 days a week with the junior high band, for example, of going over this system and showing them this. Before this, when we were using the number system, we might take 2 measures, maybe 4 measures, and hammer away at them over a period of 40 to 45 minutes, and we might barely have those 2 to 4 measures down at the end of that 45 minutes. When the Takadimi started clicking with my junior high group, I remember the song we were working on. It was a medley of Star Wars, and we were able to get through almost 2 lines of the song, almost sight reading it just about perfectly. And my jaw just about dropped. The Takadimi just worked. The kids understood it once we did all that pre-work on learning how to actually use it. When it finally clicked, it clicked big time, and we were able to really accelerate. I was able to get through almost a whole song in just a few weeks with the kids, compared to, 5, 6 months. We might just get good enough on the piece that they can get through it and make it sound reasonably well. So for our situation where I am right now, Takadimi works. And the more I dug in, the more I started realizing, why does it matter what type of counting you do? If you can play what's written on that page, why should it matter if you're using Takadimi, the counting system, or any of those other systems that are out there? It shouldn't. If you can play the notes on the page, that's all that matters, is being able to perform that music that's put down in front of you. It shouldn't matter what you're using to figure it all out. If you can get coming out of the instrument what is supposed to be played, that's the important part, and that's the fun part. That's what everybody wants to hear and have fun doing, is performing the actual music. And for me, what I've found is the Takadimi system works. And I am 100% behind it. And this is all we use now in the school I work in. And it has done wonders. Now, with the pandemic and all that stuff, we're kind of having to start over again. But it's kind of nice because everybody's starting at square one, and we can kind of build up from there, all on this system. And boy, let me tell you, it works. It really, really works. These videos are for musicians still in school, musicians that are down the road and maybe have always struggled with rhythm reading, or if you're wanting to get into music as a kid on your own or as an adult, these videos will hopefully help you figure out those rhythms. I'm not here to show you how to play the instrument or do any of those things, but it doesn't matter if you play piano, guitar, drums, trumpet, clarinet, flute, you still have to read the rhythms that are on the page, and Takadimi is the system that will help you do that. If you come from that number counting system and you just found that it's not clicking for you, take a look at the system. Watch that second and third video, because you'll quickly get a sense if this system is going to work for you, or maybe if you need to keep looking for a system that will work for you. In the comments I've received on the previous videos I've done, I've found this has helped so many people out. So I am so glad that many people are getting value out of this. And I really hope this series that I'm doing right now will really, really help and fill in a lot of those gaps and just give you a really good system that starts at the beginning and goes up to just about the end, and just gives you a nice progression that covers just about anything you might come across. As I mentioned, this is the first video in a 7-part series. It is not going to take me 7 months to get all these videos out, or even a few weeks. My plan is I'm going to have the first probably 4 or 5 videos up right together. And then in the next few days, or hopefully by this weekend, I'll get those last couple of videos done, and all those videos will be up pretty much all at once. I really want this series to be out there so you can start it right at the beginning and progress all the way through it. And make music more enjoyable, because that is the goal, to play the music that you enjoy playing. Whether it's just playing it for fun on your own, or playing it for others, or being part of groups, that's the great thing about this. It's about making music, and I really hope this Takadimi system will help you make that music even better. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them down below. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button and click the bell notification icon right next to it so you can stay up to date with all my latest video tutorials. Otherwise, this is Adam on Tech, the music guy, signing off.